So it's actually becoming more common now for interviewers to ask about behavioral and kind of historical questions, which can get a little bit sticky. So how would you advise interviewees to handle these kind of more challenging questions?
Well, first off, just to define them, there's sort of the questions where they say, tell us a time you had a conflict with your manager, what happened, how was it resolved? They're actually asking you a question about your behavior that's rooted in your history, and then watch you squirm around and they try to pick holes in it and all that. Yeah. And there's no completely bulletproof way to do it, but the more of those success stories you have that are varied from each other, where the problems were different, the skill sets you used were different, the solutions were different. I even encourage my clients to have more of them than even can fit in a resume, just so they have fully formed stories that don't assign blame to anybody, that doesn't look like you're being petty, but you have the fully formed story, and one of them is about conflict, and one of them is about limited resources, and another one's about having to train yourself, and another one is about dotted line reports, maybe an initial failure you had. Then you're preparing yourself for all the different kinds of ways they can come at you in those stories. And even if your story's not exactly the same, you can say, I've been fortunate enough to get along with my manager as well, that I never really had a direct conflict with the manager, but let me tell you about a conflict we had within the group, and then go into your success story. And that's usually going to be enough because it's a conflict story. By the way, this is kind of an aside, they're telling you about the weaknesses of the company when they give you those behavioral questions. They don't realize it, but if they're talking conflict, if they're talking about dotted lines, if they're talking about lack of support, if they're talking about lack of training, they're telling you, we don't have training, they're just saying all of those things to you, but they don't realize it.
That's interesting. That's
and
a great
the person
insight.
being interviewed is usually so fending off the questions, they don't think, hey,
Powerful information.
Yeah, that happened to me once. I was on an interview, and I wasn't a coach at the time. I wish I'd known. This guy kept talking to me about conflict. One question after, it's like a little terrier. Like I kept telling him, no, I get along with everybody. I'm having conflict with you, but I'm not. And then I should have realized, I should have said, I'm sensing that there's conflict here.
Right. So you were interviewing the interviewer and you didn't even realize it, and the valuable information that he was,
he wanted to know about conflict.
Interesting. There's a concept about closing an interview. What is that about?
It's kind of using the sales model of the job hunt itself is more like marketing strategy, which should I use job boards and what percentage of time should I do what. But the actual interview itself is more like trying to sell yourself to somebody. And I encourage my clients, even though it's not intuitive to them, to, if it's really a good match, at some point say, I think we really have a good match here. You're looking for somebody that can do A, B, C, and I can do A, B, C, and you kind of recapitulate and demonstrate it again with stories and say, so I think we really have a good match here. Do you have any reason to doubt that at this point? And what that is you're asking for the job, you're saying we have a match, and you're inviting objections, which is what salespeople do. You're essentially saying, and this is counterintuitive, hit me with your best shot. Because what you want is you want to deal with whatever concerns they have while you're in the room. You don't want to leave the room, skate through the interview, and have them say, I don't think he has enough experience. You'd like to get them, make that eye contact and say, do you have any remaining doubts about this? So they'll say, well, frankly, Steve, I don't think you have enough experience. And then you can defend. I mean, you can use your stories, you can do that. So closing is just basically asking for the job and asking them to give you whatever objections they have.
Interesting. Now, would you do that if you had a series of interviews during a particular time period? Would you do that in each one, or would you only do that with the hiring manager?
Some of my clients, what they've done is, first, I would never do this on the phone, right? It's got to be when you're in the second or third round. It might be something a little more like, do you feel confident that you can tell the hiring manager that it's a go with me to move to the next stage? Do you feel confident? In other words, you're wording it a little different. You're not trying to close the whole thing, but seeing if they'll give you a thumbs up. And if not, you never know if they're going to be really candid with you, but you're just trying to get as best you can, am I going to make it to the next stage? So the answer is yes, but I would word it a little differently, and I would only do this in person and not on the phone screen.
I think that's excellent. I think in all the years I've interviewed people, I have never had that happen, and I think it's an outstanding tip to do.
Well, thanks. And in all of these things, what I encourage my clients to do is do it in a voice and with words that you feel okay with. If it sounds pompous or it has an edge, in fact, I encourage my clients to tape themselves so they hear what it sounds like, then back off and say it a little more softly. If you think your pitch, for example, is too slick and stuff like that, back off and just simplify it. Don't make it sound so complex. Maybe just tell somebody that you help companies that have a problem like this, and it's their problem. So any of these things, they're good ideas, but make sure that you feel okay with the wording.
Right. Great. Great. In the work that you do, would you say that it's very specific to an individual's mission to kind of find that next step in their life or their job, or are these kind of skills and tips and tools in your toolbox that can be applied to your life in general?
Yeah, it's actually, the answer is yes, even though that was an or question.
Yeah.
I think that's true for both. I mean, we have to come up with a battle plan that's specific to your current situation, what it is you're looking for, what the pain points are in the market at the time. So it definitely is specific. But I often tell my clients, you know, most of my clients continue to see, or many of my clients continue to see me after they're employed or after they make the switch they've made because they want support moving up and getting good reviews and all of that. So the things we teach are more like giving somebody, instead of giving somebody a fish, really teaching them to fish, learning how to network, learning how to interview, learning how to communicate your value, learning how to negotiate, learning how to do good business communication, whether it's an email or whatever form, resume, cover letter. So yes, they're lifelong skills. It's just that in any point in time, you have to get specific and tactfully go after, tactically,
Yeah.
I guess, go after the specifics. So it's both.
Yeah, good. We have about 30 seconds left, and I want you to talk really quickly about success teams.
Success teams. Well, normally they're like 5 or 6 people that meet on a regular basis to go over what they're doing in their job hunt and give each other support and feedback and some accountability. The real plus of it is that you're not going alone throughout the process. You have some support from others. And even if you can just find a 2-person success team, it can really be uplifting and help you not feel like you're completely alone in the job hunting process. So they're wonderful.
That's great. Well, Steve, I'm going to turn it back to you to wrap it up.
Done?
We
wow.
have about 2 minutes left.
Okay,
yes.
well, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
You weren't too hard on me. Okay, well, thank you very much, Connie, for guest hosting the show. If you have any questions for us about jobs and careers or about this particular show, feel free to email me at steve@bayareacareercoach.com. Again, it's steve@bayareacareercoach.com. And do check out the website where you'll find the 12 keys to getting a great job. You can find out about the networking teaching that I do, how I help people, and the coaching that I do. You can also access the websites or content information if anybody's ever been on the show, so they can go to mypetstreet.com, right?
Yes.
And find out about all this good information to take care of our pets.
Absolutely.
Right? And the website again is www.bayareacareercoach.com. Again, it's www.bayareacareercoach.com. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time on You're Hired. And thank you for being on You're Hired.
I was delighted to be here.
Yeah, you didn't grill me too hard, but...
well, you know, I had a couple up my sleeve, but then I saw that 3-minute warning, and I thought, you know,
you're going to say, is it not true that...
Yeah, sorry.
No, it was, I was surprised we got through all the questions.